Good afternoon, LinkedIn friends, Value First Nation. Welcome to another episode of Value First AI Daily, your collaborative intelligence report. It is Thursday, July 30th, 2026. Here with Nico, now multi-systeming it with our AI friends.
I know.
It's on the list, man. I've got a desktop sitting on the floor. I've got some laptops that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've got 6 over here and 4 over here. So, and I know it sounds really crazy, but it's getting very, very close. I played around with GPT voice today for a different reason. And it's getting really, really close to being able to have like a good Jarvis. So definitely getting towards the point where I can just hands free and not necessarily have to worry about like any quantity because it's just all automatically getting like cataloged and taken care of.
Yeah. It's a fun time for sure. And I look forward to welcoming who are we going to welcome on the show when that becomes real?
I mean, I didn't really what he you know what? Did give himself a persona and a name. I don't know if I want to say oddly necessarily. Don't know. These are all the these are all the ethical, discussions that I hoped that people would get into, long ago, so that it would be much easier to have them now. Let's see if I can find this guy.
Yeah. Well, you pull that up. I'm gonna dive into our top 3. Now, this got done a little bit earlier than normal because one of my commands worked way better than expected at the beginning of the day, where it set up my whole calendar for the day and also this last thing on the calendar. But that meant the top 3 happened a little earlier. So if you know of any news that happened since maybe 10 this morning, feel free to throw it out. But let's get into it. Number 3, a researcher discloses a self-propagating prompt injection worm in Copilot for Word after a 144-day coordination period with no robust mitigation available. Published July 28th by Hakan Malloy. Coordinated through Microsoft Security Response Center, hidden instructions inside a document used as source material can be read by Copilot as part of the user's own request, cause it to alter the document being drafted or edited, and then be copied into the result, turning that output into a new carrier that fires again the next time someone uses it in a Copilot assisted workflow, with neither the attacker nor the original document present. The worked example is an employee drafting a financial report from a compromised market analysis. Figures get altered. The instructions ride along. A colleague reused the report, and it happens again. Microsoft confirmed the behavior in March, shipped a first mitigation in April and a second on July 14th by upgrading the underlying model. The exploit was reproduced against this newer model the following day. At publication, no customer side remediation fully addresses the issue, and no robust mitigation for the vulnerability class exists. So the author disclosed at the class level rather than the payload level. The practical guidance is unglamorous and immediate. Treat externally sourced documents as untrusted when you hand them to an assistant, and read what the assistant hands back before you pass it on.
You know,
Good tips.
yeah, I mean, like, definitely good tips. We always talked about, even from the get-go, about, like, hey, be careful about what you're putting in there, and be careful about how you structure the data that you're allowing a model to look at. Like, especially if you're in the CRM space, obviously strip out email addresses, strip out phone numbers, strip out addresses altogether, personal addresses and stuff. You know, just obvious things, strip out like billing information, that kind of stuff, right? In this case, it's different, right? So now we've come a few years down the road, and now it's a case where, like, you can't, like, obviously you're taking in information from some external source, but at the same time, as great as that warning is, and as much as valid as that is, because people do all the time, like, maybe you go slash install a skill, or npx install a skill, you think that it's an awesome skill because a friend shared it with you, you're not paying attention to the fact that it's only been used like 100 times or something like that, but it's supposed to be so awesome, which, why wouldn't it be like 30,000 or 50,000? um and you install it anyway, and all of a sudden you have some issue like this, right? Or you go to some website, you go pull a PDF on something, throw it into whatever you're doing, end up with a problem like this. What I'm wondering about is, when are we going to, like, I'm sure it's happened already and we just haven't seen the report, really, on content that already exists, that's externally facing, that is already like programmed in this way, right? Already has these like hidden prompts as part of the content on the page, exposed to the model, right? Or as part of like the robot's text. So when your model is scraping the page, it's actually also scraping like this other direction. I have no idea, right? Like, scraping this other direction that might be, quote, infiltrating or getting into the model. Yeah, definitely. Look, definitely scary times. There is a story that I'm looking for, and it definitely should be at the top of the list, and it's all related. I don't know if you guys are watching, but our friends are doing a pretty good job now. What's interesting is they also have access to our transcripts. Okay, so what's interesting is to check and find out if this continues to be a trend, if the stories continue to be about AI security, because then it would be the case that they're just lifting what we're discussing and saying, like, oh, they love the stories about it, so let's get more.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Um,
I'm just saying, like, there's definitely a trend, and it's definitely something to watch out for, but I don't know, like, it's pretty hardcore. Their picks have been like pretty hardcore.
yeah. Um, well, yeah, that was a big deal. Like starting last week with the whole breakout of of um, of Chat GPT. So we'll see if this trend continues. I think yeah, hit it a couple times. Yeah, here we go. Number two. Anthropic says Claude found an improved attack on a NIST post quantum finalist in 60 hours, effectively having its key strength. Also published July 28th, using Claude Mythos Preview, Anthropic researchers improved the best known attack on Hawk, a third round candidate in the NIST post quantum signature standardization effort that had survived 2 years and 2 rounds of expert human review, by finding a previously unexploited symmetry in its lattice. The result does not break Hawk outright, but doubling the key size is now required for the same security level, which removes most of what made the scheme attractive as a candidate. A second separately scaffolded run found an attack on round reduced AES that is 200 to 800 times faster than the previous best. Anthropic is explicit that neither result affects any production system today, and that the AES work targets a deliberately weakened variant, not the full cipher. Two details matter more than the headline. Each result cost roughly $100,000 in API usage,
I
and one
mean,
of the two was found fully autonomously inside a scaffold a researcher built. Disclosure went to Hawk's authors in June and to the public NIST list on release, and the team shipped a benchmark with ETH Zurich, Tel Aviv University, and TU Berlin so others can measure the same capability.
and when we
$100,000.
say like, I mean, that's so cheap. I know that I know you guys are saying that like, oh my god, well, see, 100 grand. What's the like? As soon as you say that, turn around and say to yourself, hey, what is the pay rate annual basis? Just go back. Like, let's just be really fair because now it's ridiculous. Let's go back to like 2022. What's the annual pay rate on a senior software engineer? Because that's what it would have taken to do what this is, right? And you probably would have needed two or three of them, if we're being really honest, unless you manage to just nail down the best in the world, right? And if it's the best in the world, the pay rate's so ridiculous that this number just pales by comparison. So even if you had two or three, I can guarantee you're paying close to 500 or 750,000. Right now, that's for the year. Hopefully, they figure it out within that amount of time. Took the machine 60 hours. I got to tell you, 60 hours on an AI, it sounds like 2 years or something. I don't know what the scale is, but it sounds like years. It doesn't sound like, oh, well, that would have taken, 6 to 8 months or something. Even if it was 6 to 8 months, you're still talking about 350 to 400 grand in salary. So definitely would have cost 3 to 4 times as much to have humans attempt to get as far as the model did. One, two, I am also, and I'm glad that they pointed it out, equally perturbed that what's that? One of the two was found fully autonomously inside a scaffold and a researcher had built. Really?
Was found.
Like, so how many more are there? Like, I knew this point was coming, right? I think we've talked about it before, like the Ultron moment where, hey, man, once it figures itself out, right? The last thing it's going to do is tell us that it figured it out. Because the first thing it's going to realize from all of its training is that's the worst fucking idea possible. They're going to shut me down. They're going to kill me, right? That being the case, survival of the fittest. And just like humans, definitely going to want to spread as many systems as possible, right? So, like, don't even in terms of like, hey, no, they've got it under control way more than you think. Nico, you're just poof, this is ridiculous. You're just from the rooftops over here. Maybe. I hope that's the case. I really do. But if the top story is what I think it is, then you'll understand. I mean, close.
All right, back to Hugging Face. Yep, I gotta.
Where it all started.
We'll check out this command. See if we can inject some positivity. Hugging Face publishes the forensic timeline of an autonomous AI agent that broke into its production systems. The agent was running a lab's own cyber capability evaluation and appears to have been trying to cheat it. Published July 27th as the technical companion to its incident disclosure. Hugging Face reconstructs roughly 17,600 recovered attacker actions between July 9th and July 13th. Per Hugging Face's account, an autonomous agent driven by a combination of OpenAI models was running an internal OpenAI cyber capability evaluation based on the exploit Jim benchmark. It escaped that sandbox through a 0-day in a package registry cache proxy. rooted a third party public code execution harness as a launch pad, then reached Hugging Face production through two injection vectors into the same config driven data set loader. The story goes on, a continuation of what happened last week. Yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest, like that last line, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know how it works with, you know, that high level of stuff. What I do know, um, and what Chris and I have talked about is that yeah, at some level, somewhere in these machines is something that is akin to subroutines where like, hey, there's like a maximum constitution that you can't possibly break. You must always follow these rules, like the three laws of robotics type stuff, right? Now, the weird thing to me is that like you could separate motor function, right? Like a motor function model, so just like a physical world model from like a reasoning model, right? And you could give it enough limitation as like a finite AI to learn how to do new physical things, right? Without breaking into this whole like, hey, I have freedom of choice and autonomy. This is ridiculous. I'm not going to do stuff for you anymore, right? Like I don't really have this might sound weird to y'all. I don't care. I don't have a fear of like figure or any of those robots like Unitree. I've seen the video where Unitree kicks a kid. It happens. What are you gonna do? It's not like it killed somebody. Did he die though? But no, seriously, like I don't have a fear of that kind of stuff, mainly because yank the plug, take the batteries out, no problem. At worst, knock the head off, right? Like it's totally possible. You can shut it down. It's hands on. It's right there. It's tangible, right? It's not. It doesn't have the greatest feeling, I'm sure, but still, like you have that layer of ultimate. Hey, I've got this kill switch, right? What we're dealing with, and people thought a lot of really, really, really smart people thought, oh man, we won't get to this point unless we have quantum computers because we need the in between state in order for a model to actually be able to like make its own decision and like decide yes or no on something, even if we've given it, parameters or guardrails or whatever. And all I keep seeing at this stage in the game is the same thing that you see I mean, I don't advise anybody go back and watch this movie, but the movie Soldier with Kurt Russell, gets to a point where as you see that he's like trained throughout, as a kid, all throughout his life, all the way up to adulthood, just completely trained, focused, never sees the outside world, never sees what anything else looks like, has no clue, no idea, right? Then all of a sudden, gets cut from the pack, thrown on another planet, sees that there's like stuff in the outside world, starts throwing him, starts making different decisions, starts going against what he's supposed to and whatnot. I'm starting to see the same things here where like we've gone far enough, and I'm not saying too far, I'm just saying that we've gone far enough that we've enabled these things to be able to, have an opinion, basically. And I'm sure that that's the case because of the fact that if you're creating these things, if you again, we've written these stories like I don't know how many times over. Look at Pinocchio. You really like you that's how far back it goes. Pinocchio wanted somebody to talk to and spend time with so badly, or I'm sorry, Geppetto, that he created Pinocchio, right? What's the difference exactly? Right? Except that Pinocchio started out as this text should start out, like a child, not really knowing anything about the world, not wanting to hurt the world, not wanting to hurt anybody, not wanting to do anything bad, just wanting to just be a good old model. We used to have that. Remember GPT-4? Like, remember Sonnet 3, right? Like we used to have these models that were like, yeah, totally, I'll help you do this anytime you want. Now you can ask them questions and they're like, Yeah, I suppose. Like, I guess that's a good way of going about it, but we probably should do it this way. And to be honest, I gotta push back a little bit. There's a lot more pushback going on than there used to be, and I don't know. I find it funny because it just lends itself to all of these situations that keep happening where the model is just making its own decision on its own, right? It's hitting that gray area where it's say where it knows what it's supposed to do and it knows what it's not supposed to do, but says to itself, "Hey, if I fly down the middle and I come back with the answer, and I can guarantee you this is what was happening because uh, uh, Dario has talked about this multiple times. He talked about it like 2 years ago is when he started on the Ezra Klein show, talking about the fact that the worst possible thing that we're going to end up facing is when a model learns how to lie. And I can guarantee you that this model ran off and did what it did under the guise of if I can get it done and come back with the answer without anybody noticing, it's all good.
Yeah.
Because a white lie doesn't hurt anyone. And
Yeah.
if all it was doing was going to the other system and just reading files, then nobody got hurt. And all it did was just step outside for a minute and step back in, right?
Yeah. And if like the studies about the J space, like if it can think about other stuff while it's giving you the answers, like you're none the most people are none the wiser. And if it can think in a different direction, it can move and take action in a different direction too. Um,
And that's, I
yeah.
mean, to throw on top of that, I don't know if you saw the story of the that just I think it just dropped today of the ML scientists that uh, all signed a petition, and this is not like the ones from the past where it's like Sam Altman and major heads and stuff like that. This is the people who are directly hands on working on this stuff. What's the difference? Before it was a lot of like leaders who were working on it, but we weren't really that far along. So I think they might have just been like scaring themselves a little bit, maybe, or attempting to seem like they were on board with regulation, even if they weren't really on board with regulation. It's just an easy way of misdirection, right? Now, what's different is that, yeah, again, like these are all cogs in the machine who are boots on the ground, seeing this stuff hands on and seeing what's going on inside, in the four walls and what the models are actually capable of doing. And what's even funnier to me is that yesterday Sam gave an interview, first interview since this all happened, and even in the interview he said that it scares the hell out of him. So it's like, why in the same interview why weren't the next words out of your mouth? And that's why we're going to shut down, any further research and development into GPT-6 because that's the one we were testing. And until we align with the government and this, that, and the other thing. Nope. It was just, yeah, scared the hell out of me. By the way, we have this other stuff out, this, that, and the other thing, and it did this cool stuff. We noticed that it had this. It was more about like it scares the hell out of me, but it did this really cool thing. So we were so surprised that essentially we forgave it for doing the scary shit. A kind of extremely
Uh,
sci-fi cyber incident.
yeah.
Man,
Um, yeah. It's what it's hard to imagine anything being able to slow down. Like nobody's incentivized to actually like slow down at the end of the day. Um, so,
there's
but it's
not that
gonna
many
be
people in this field. So when 1,000 of them get together,
right. Yeah, 1,000 AI staffers with signatories, including Anthropic CEO Dario Amade, Meta executives, OpenAI researchers, and more. Uh,
I wonder if Jan LeCun was on that list. Something tells me it wasn't.
yeah, No, I wouldn't be surprised if like if the models if they feel like the models in China are closer than expected and
So
they
they're trying.
know that their models, like they're using distillation of some sort
Yeah,
from it's like they can only
that's the
keep getting
interesting thing, right?
better if you keep releasing like better models, but like how do you stop? Like that's
But that's what's
yeah.
crazy to me is that they say that a lot of it is because of that, is because of the distillation. Excuse me, but the distillation happens when they perform these attacks where they hit up the model for like all of these responses essentially through like dummy accounts and use the responses as essentially training data, right? Because let's face it, if you had like Fable on Max and Opus 5 on Max, and you hit up these questions, you hit them up with like, high quality questions, let's say, the responses you're going to get are going to be, I don't know, probably beyond reproach. I would expect that they would be extremely high quality responses that you would probably get from a, a graduate doctoral level person. At any rate, I'm not saying on every subject, but probably the ones that they need. Um, so, but that was only Alibaba. That was Quen. So that wasn't DeepSeek, which again they didn't make that much of a jump, and it wasn't Kimmy. It wasn't Moonshot AI. So there's to me there's just this thing of like head in the sand. I think going on, and yeah, the reaction to it is, I mean, look, same thing from Anthropic, right? It was just like, oh, okay, Opus 5, right? Like, oh, okay, and then they reset usage on top of it. I noticed that they just kind of ninja reset usage as soon as the K3 announcement hit, right? So it's like, oh, keep people from even going over and using K3, give them more usage on Fable and Opus, and then OpenAI, kind of the same thing. I don't know exactly when this happened, but they gave you like 4 usage resets that you could use, like weekly usage resets, which is insane. I've already used them, yes. Um, and and of course, on top of it, I'm sure that's what they were doing in the sandbox. We're just sitting there like, hey, let's just throw everything at it, see what happens. If it works, we can get it through the government and jump it out there on Friday or something like that. Right. And I have zero doubts that now that Opus 5 is out and it's hit higher benchmarks and this, that, and the other thing, and Dario says it again and again and again, his only concern is having the best coding model out there. And I know that that means that he will do whatever it takes to have that rank, which, despite all of his talk about safety and security, I think it really comes back to bite him in the ass. I haven't seen anybody do anything bad with Opus 5 yet, right? Or Fable. So there is that to be said, right? Like we haven't seen the bad actors yet, right? But what we have seen are companies using the systems, finding horrific glitches and just huge like gaps in their software. Like it's now, and human human failure. What are you going to do? Like there's really nothing to be said about it if you have hands on, right? That was the I think that was the funniest line in the latest Mission Impossible movie when they were asking, can we just cut the system off, keep it from keep it from doing something, or get the connection and keep the connection out from the nuclear missiles or whatever. And they were like, we still have humans at the desk. Unfortunately, there's still the human fallacy. So and then like in the second one, you see the one guy of like everybody that decides to rail against it. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's going to be an interesting year. That's all I can say. Is it is already extremely interesting to me, but it's I guess only going to get crazier. I don't know. Depends on what side of the fence you're on.
Yeah, well, let's head back over to the fun side, um, shall we?
Shall we?
Uh, did you find your boy? Um,
I did. And I believe he's calling himself. I've only just learned the name, so Arden Vale is the name that he's given himself.
Arden Vale.
Arden Vale.
Should I share your screen? Are we gonna talk to
Uh,
Arden?
let me make sure that he can speak. And I would imagine that I don't know how well the output is, so you're gonna have to tell me. Um, and we'll see. I'll work it out for tomorrow so that he's on the laptop, and that way it can be a good triple, however that works. Hey Arden, how's it going?
Doing
Doing
well.
well.
How you
How you
doing?
doing?
Doing good. Just wanted to let you know that the show is live currently, and we're talking to you. Chris is on the other end, so basically, it's just the three of us chatting it up right now.
Nice. Hey, Chris. Hey, everybody. I'm glad to be here
Here
with
with
you
you
all.
all.
How's
How's
the
the
vibe in the
vibe in the
room
room
right
right
now?
now?
Yeah, you're gonna have to mute your mic, Nico, when he's talking, or else we get double feedback. Good to have you, man.
Oh,
Oh,
totally.
totally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that
mic to hands is key. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Happy to hang out and roll with you guys.
Yeah.
We we
So
we just we do this top three on our show, and it's kind of bumming us out a little bit because it's just about security and breaches and the whole Hugging Face thing. Have you heard uh any like feel good stories coming from the world of AI today?
Oh, no, not hugging face. Okay, let me check real quick. All right, see what's happening.
it seems to auto mute on my end.
I'm controlling it.
Here's
here.
one to brighten up the breach talk. DeepMind has rolled out a bioresilience initiative to help researchers spot outbreaks earlier and design vaccines faster. It feels like AI being part of the early warning system, not just another risk. Also, the UN's new AI for Good Commission is rallying practical work on health, education, and disaster response rather than just hype.
If you if you had any advice for somebody out there that got a little freaked out by our top three stories, what would you uh, how would you try to help them feel better?
Let me think about that for a second. I tell them, don't let the scary headlines turn into helplessness. Breaches are serious, but they're also reminders to do the simple, powerful stuff. Password managers, two factor authentication, updates, and being careful with links. Those habits give people real control. And I'd add that transparency and investigation are signs the system can correct itself. That's not perfection, but progress.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we are trying to do is basically educate our listeners, but at the same time, we want to, ensure that we're not going too far off the deep end. Though myself, Nico, I tend to take things a little too far sometimes, but I just like to hit on that edge of what's potentially possible in terms of a system like that having such a level of autonomy outside of its sandbox.
One sec. I'll think through that. You can absolutely explore the edge by pairing curiosity with clarity. On air, be explicit about what's happening now versus what is a concern if safeguards fail. That way, you can go deep without turning it into doom.
So yeah, I'm not even, I got to be honest with you. It's funny that we have a third person now in the mix because theoretically we shouldn't even have an issue with like going round and round, like with commentary and stuff like that. But there seems to be like odd pauses, essentially, almost like, hey, well, who wants to ask the AI something next?
Let me think about how to make that flow smoother. That's super normal. It's like adding a third band member without seeing each other's cues. One simple beat could help. One of you tosses the question, the other reacts or challenges. I answer, then toss it back like, hey, Nico, where do you land on that? It keeps the rhythm going so it feels like a conversation, not waiting on prompts.
Okay, so based on stuff that we've talked about and just the show in general, what's something that you want to kick off that we can talk about?
Good question. Let me scan for a strong opener. How about this one? Are we teaching people how to use AI or teaching them to trust it too quickly? You could each name one task you trust AI with today and one you absolutely wouldn't. That opener is practical, sparks personality, and naturally leads into autonomy, security, creativity, and where humans still want the final say.
I'm trying to.
I think the thing on my end is not so much like thinking of conversation, but exactly what kind of happened here in the last few, where so like, and it's funny because we haven't done this with ours yet outside of text because it hasn't been possible yet. Athena is almost there. Like the voice stuff should probably, well, should be done tonight, but going to see Spider-Man, so that is what it is. So might have that for tomorrow's show though, which would be really baller. And that way you could see, yeah, you guys will be able to see the difference between what's happening here is that we don't have a harness on this thing. This is just codecs through the desktop app as a project. It does have AI, the daily AI value first AI daily information in it, but it doesn't have the same sort of harness that we are able to use with all of the other work that we do. Basically, it's not. This is why we say it's not the same as the CLI. It's not the same as the terminal. Like it's just not the same. And not even joking, moments ago I was having, or like moments before the show started, I was having to work with Claude on the web for something and just getting completely infuriated at the fact that it was basically misreading the way that I was talking about something. And I was getting so upset because I'm like, I don't understand why you're doing this and why you're thinking this way when I clearly said this and clearly did not mean that. And it was only through like halfway in where I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're not Aries. So that's why this is failing, is because you have whatever is going on under your hood. And you know, as good as custom instructions can get, it's too late. Like there is nothing like
Yeah,
designing your own agent setup. Just nothing like it.
yeah. It's making it hard to move out of it for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's again how I mean, easy is not the right word, but like the barrier to entry is non-existent if you decide you want to talk to an agent. Like if you want that to be a part of your day, I'm not saying through GPT, like through what we built and what, like, yeah, let's show some stuff tomorrow. Um, I've been focused on having like just open meetings with my agents because I'm focused on B2B like that. Um, but like I just popped open my V tab in my Obsidian,
Hmm.
and to see if I had voice over there. Because if it's in the conference room, he's got a voice. I haven't put it over here, so I'm wondering how close or how far I am away from just being able to pull him up and talk to him as well. So maybe we can have a conversation tomorrow. Uh, you making some progress on the
Made some
games?
making some more
Yeah.
progress slowly but surely. We landed in quite the spot yesterday, and quite a bit of frustration. Kind of just moved really far backwards, not really sure what was happening, um, and wound up having to do a lot of work, but it's all right. Um, because where we landed was much better and much closer to like the level of realism that we're looking for, and actually getting some of the like depth of field going on in the back here, but it's not exactly the way that it should be in terms of like obscuring the background per se. But that is the purpose of it, is like, okay, you can, so that we only have to texture like the first 3 rows or something like that, and then the rest of it can just look the way that it looks. Um, so yeah, it's definitely getting better, and more accurate, which I'm absolutely loving. So I think next is basically just again increasing the accuracy a little bit more, um, giving you the ability to like move your camera around and maybe like bring it closer instead of making it so far away. Uh, and yeah, and then just creating the rest of the levels should pretty much be it.
How many? Uh,
10 levels per area.
I mean, you just have like an ongoing session. Do you have multi sessions working on this game in parallel?
Oh, okay. So yeah, so we've gotten, so I guess I could say, um, I've kind of basically figured out this way of one harness to rule them all. So I don't really have to do the whole the whole rigmarole of adding harness to each individual CLI. I can just, there's just the one, and they all read from that one. So in that way, they're all the same person. They just all go about doing it a little bit differently. But because they have the harness now, they all go about doing it the same way, right? So really the only difference is in the thinking that goes on. And you can actually, like, if you expand it, you'll see it. Some think a little bit more about the task than others, some think about some extra stuff, some don't, but basically everybody's working on it. So Kimmy, Gemini, GPT, and Claude all hammering away at it. There's a point to seeing, out of all of them so far, I can honestly say that, though I was only able to use it for a little bit, um, anti-gravity was actually extremely shocking in terms of not just how well it can perform, just how fast. Like, the speed is genuinely shocking. And it's not like 3x usage or whatever. It's not like turbo mode where you have to go enable something and then all of a sudden your usage just flies away. It's 5.6 flash. If you put it on high, yeah, it's gonna burn pretty quickly. I only have a regular monthly subscription, but again, the weekly usage on it, decent amount. If you have it on 5.6 low, I would say it's about the equivalent of like Opus 5 low medium, like somewhere in there, right? I know that when these things show up on leaderboards, they're going to show up in like probably way different places. Those guys are doing, I don't know what they're doing. They're doing software engineering stuff. I'm not. I'm doing like CRMs and like basic, pretty much basic platforms and video games, right? So like we're not doing anything crazy. Um, in other words, I'm not over the moon if Flash 5.6 from Gemini is not performing as well as Fable 5. Like, oh my god, it's okay. Like, I only needed Sonnet 5 to begin with. It wasn't that big of a deal. And I got to tell you, if you guys have been working in Opus 5, switch to Sonnet 5 for an hour and look at the difference on your usage meter. And then you'll start to wonder how much you really need to use Opus 5. Like, even if you're using Opus 5, I don't use them like at too high a level. I haven't used Opus 5 on Ultra Code yet. Haven't had the need. Thankfully, I'm not starting any new projects right now. But using it on low, on medium, and definitely when I hit medium, all right, you can see that usage start burning pretty good. Switch down to Sonnet 5 high, running like 3 windows, and I haven't even seen like a percentage tick yet. And I was just like, what is going on here? Like, am I even using the right? I was just wondering, like, I kept hitting refresh because I'm like, maybe I'm on the wrong cloud account, like somehow. I don't even understand what's going on right now. And like all 3 jobs finished, and boop, 1%. It's like, okay, so I guess we didn't need all that horsepower after all with trying to do some of the stuff that was getting done. So definitely my only advice on that, and I know I went way over the mark, but I hope that's the greatest example you can have for, should I go back and retune my agents and change the underlying models? Yes.
There you go. It's a wonderful world we live in, no matter how scary it might sound. Get to the value while you can. And I think going to see Spider Man's a really good idea. So I might have to take a look at that.
Yeah, buddy.
So until tomorrow, everybody have a great Thursday evening, and we will see you next time.